Okay, welcome, Likumar. We just already had a really exciting small conversation about bright principles. So thank you for being here and being willing to speak with me about integrity. And
it's my honor.
Yeah. So how this comes about is that I think it's been a year or so, a year ago, you were in a space that I was part of, and you said something like, well, if you ever want to know more about integrity, call me up, ask me. So here I am asking you. I want to know more about integrity and what you have learned about it or experienced about it. And what drives me in particular is that, yeah, on a personal level, I noticed that there's a big relevance of integrity to really stand in my bright principles or in like to create what I'm here to create. I get the sense there's a big key in integrity, and I'm curious about that because it can so quickly go into this, well, I have to be in integrity, or it's a moral, like a moralizing. So I noticed that. And on the other hand, also for the project that I'm involved in, this Possibility Village Hub, I notice how important that bright principle is in creating a co-creation together. So
Yeah.
what is the first thing that springs to you for integrity?
So before I start speaking about anything that I refer to when I speak about integrity is that I got exposed to that model that we are talking about today in 2013. And this model has been developed by Werner Erhard and um, and Michael Jensen. Werner Erhard is one of the senior human development practitioners and trainers. And Michael Jensen is an economist who has a long list of merits, including Harvard Business School. He was president at Harvard Business School. He developed economical models that are still in place today that he developed in the 70s. And he took on looking at integrity with Werner Erhard, and they developed this model. And this completely related to what you started in your question with. Integrity is not about morality. It's not about, being right or wrong. It has nothing to do with that. It's quite simple. When in the model that I'm speaking about, the overall principle is without integrity, nothing works. So whenever something in my life doesn't work, I know I behave out of integrity. And and that's as simple as it is. And at the same time, you know, what I would like to look into with you today is the question of, okay, what is integrity? And integrity is nothing else as workability, as performance. It's closely related to workability. What does workability mean?
Mm-hmm. What does
That's the way,
workability mean?
yeah, it's like things are working in the way that they are designed.
Mm-hmm.
So even that is a question, what if the design is false? Even a design for something can be out of integrity because it has been designed for A and it gets used for B. Then the design can be fulfilled because it's used in a different way. What does integrity mean for us as a human being?
Mhm.
And for me, it's, it comes down to my word.
You say more
To
about that?
be to be a person of integrity comes down to my word. So what is my word as a human being? Is that what I say? Yes, that's one part of it. When I say I do this and I don't do it, I'm behaving out of integrity. Or if I say I do not do this and I still do it, I'm behaving out of integrity. That's number one and very simple to understand.
Yeah, and when I link that back to what you said earlier, like if you get results that you didn't want, basically is my own translation now, then you know you're acting out of integrity. How does that relate to saying something that you will do, for example, and then you don't do that? Or what have you noticed in your life about that? How does that show up? Like, one thing is to notice, oh, I'm doing something that I said I wouldn't do, and then I can beat myself up for not being in integrity. But like, what is the result actually that you've noticed of that?
Well, if I do something and I said I will not do it anymore, then I have an impact on my life. Number one is I'm and I'm not beating myself up, but for me comes up the question, oh, what is the source of my behavior? What is it that I didn't look at when I gave my word to not do that anymore? And and it's a revelation. And for me, it's not beating myself up. For me, it's about finding out, being curious about what is the source for my actions or what is the source for my inactions.
Mhm.
And that's only part one. So, in the model that I was speaking about, there are 6 different ways I give my word. 6 different ones.
6 ways of giving the word.
Yes. Number one is what I say,
Mhm.
or actions speak louder than words. You know,
Mhm.
when I do something, that's also a way of giving my word. So, number two, word number two, as it's called in the model, is let me see, what do I say or do and don't do? Number two is, let me see, number three is what others expect of me. My word is what others expect of me. Let me have a quick look.
Your word is what others expect of you. Mm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Huh?
Yeah, how
Can
does
you
that
imagine
work?
that?
I cannot. No, and I'm yeah. What does that mean? So someone might expect that I clean the dishes after I've cooked.
Yeah,
So they might
for
expect that.
example,
So that would be my word, that others expect me to clean the dishes.
unless I say I will not do it.
Mhm. So it's
There's
handling
always,
expectations, basically. It's being
yeah,
noticing expectations and handling them to take us sort of
yeah,
to create clarity around those expectations.
exactly.
Mm.
And sometimes it's also to say, what do you expect of me?
Mm.
You know, this kind of things open doors to, get to know somebody else and get to know what other people expect of me. Or to create clarity, we're having this meal, and after the meal, I will be leaving and I will not take care of the dishes.
Mhm.
Or we're having this meal and I would like to take care of the dishes. And I would like you to enjoy, each other's company or whatever you want.
Mm.
but that creates clarity, creates a lot of clarity, because you do actively expectation management.
Active expectation management. Yeah, and it's this. I can literally sense that the space relaxes with that because it's clear, and it's not dangling there. Who's going to do the dishes? Because you're taking a stand, or you're saying I'm not available for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was word number 3. I'm going to look on my iPad because I have a blank right now what word number 2 is, but let's do word number 4 because that's also very inspiring. Cool. Word number 4 is what I say is so. So if I tell you I'm talking about the model of integrity, then I also say where it comes from and how it got developed and whatever I know about it, and everything I say is to my best knowledge. And if I don't really know, then I say, well, this is what I read there, and that is what I know about it, and I did not really investigate deeper if that's the truth or not. But that's what I read there, and that's where you can find it. And if you want to know more about it, you can read, or don't read, or whatever. But people can rely on my word. What I say is so.
I noticed actually when you started speaking and you named the source of, the context of what you're sharing here, I noticed in the space the integrity. I could really almost touch it. It's this, like there was a boom, a grounding to the space. So I totally get that. Thank you for modeling it straight away.
Yeah. Without integrity, nothing works. Just don't forget. It's like I made that a koan in my life. Without integrity, a koan. It's like it's one of the sentences that runs through my head at all times. When I open my mouth, hold on, I'm giving my word right now. What is it that I'm saying? What is it that I'm not saying? All these things are suddenly becoming way more important, and I noticed that I speak much less.
That's really what I hear. There is this consciousness and action thing. It's really taking radical responsibility for your words.
Yeah. So that was word number 4. What I say is so. All the story makings, all the exaggerations that we're used to, all the understatements that we like to live from, they're all gone.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you're saying understatements as well, because that's so easy to neglect that they're just as out of integrity as the
as much as exaggeration. Yes. Yes. So word number 5 is I do what I stand for. Whatever I take a stand for, I do to, be that person. If I say I take a stand for integrity, then integrity is my life. It's all about integrity. If I say, as we said in the beginning, the bright principles, one of my bright principles is possibility, then I take a stand for possibility, and it's everywhere where I am.
So integrity there becomes like fuel or like a fertilizer for possibility and every other bright principle that you take a stand for.
Clarity. Yes. Discovery. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a puzzle piece in my puzzle that makes sense. not that, yeah, but that I get that, you know, integrity really is necessary to give mass to the other bright principles, to hold, to be able to really, yeah, to take a stand for them and to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was one of the revelations for me when I heard about the model, you know, oh yeah, there are 6 different kinds of giving my word. Okay, fine. Yeah, I do what I say. Yes. I do what oh yes, that's number 2. I do what I know.
Didn't want to know.
Word number 2.
You say more about that? What you know? What?
Yeah. For example, if I have an appointment with you and I know I will be late, I give you notice. Or I know that right now I'm living on an Indian reservation in South Dakota. I know that the Native American culture is very different from the European culture that I grew up in, or the standard American culture that I'm exposed to most of my life when I'm here in the US. So if I do not respect that there's a different culture here, that there are so many things that are different in that culture from the culture that I'm used to, and if I ignore them, then I'm behaving out of integrity. When I join the possibility management game world, low drama is not a choice, right? The moment I play low drama, I'm playing low drama and I'm, breaking the rules of the possibility management game world. I'm not sure if that's the truth, but that's
more
the story that I make up.
Yeah, it's more this staying committed to low drama rather than taking responsibility for the feelings. Then you're,
yeah. So that's what I know. And if I act differently, then I behave out of integrity.
Acting differently without taking a stand for acting differently, would that be?
You're getting close. Where it really gets interesting. Yes. Yes. So let's complete word number 6. And then we go a little further in the model. Word number 6 is I follow the rules and what's the other word? The rules and standards of every organization or government or state that I participate in. That's a big one.
Yeah, scary. And
unless, and that's always the part, you're in integrity if you say I don't. If you say, I know I'm living on an Indian reservation and I will keep my habit of whatever my habit is that is against the culture, and I communicate that, then I'm not behaving out of integrity because I'm saying what's so. And if there is disagreement, then I bear the consequences. Then we find a way, okay, if I can't do this here, then either I'm leaving or, what do you expect of me to do about that if that's not okay for you? What is an alternative? How can we make that happen for you and me? And it always opens a door for conversation. It opens a door for,
for negotiation and clarity.
Yes.
What I hear there too is that it's in the background. Okay, so it's really like closing the door to shadow of manipulation, for example, in the last one. I might not agree with all the rules and standards, and I might pretend that I adhere to them, but then secretly cutting corners.
Yeah. breaking the speed
which I
limits.
would obviously never do, but that wouldn't be quite an integrity to say that. But yeah, it's this. It really opens a door for saying what is so, to clarity, to yeah, and at the same time shuts the door to manipulation and hidden purposes. Like, it really puts the stuff on the table.
Yeah, and you know, speed limits, for example. I hate speed limits. I don't like to follow speed limits because they don't make sense to me. How can I communicate that? I can't. I break the speed limits if I decided to do so. And when I get stopped, then I pay the fine. And that's it.
Mm.
There's no argument. There's no reasoning. There's no nonsense. There's just, I get stopped. The guy, most of the time, the American officers ask, do you know why I stopped you? Yes, I broke the speed limit. I went 10 miles above the speed limit. And that already is like, that happened to me. You know, the guy was looking at me. Oh, okay. He was so surprised he didn't know what to do with it. You know,
Yeah.
you
So
you know that this is a dangerous area. Yes, I've taken that into account, and yes,
mm,
okay, I'll give you a $50 fine. Yes, sir. Here's $50. That's it.
mhm.
It's like, yeah, that's what it is. But that is taking responsibility. That is being a person of integrity. I break the laws, and if I do it on purpose and consciously, then I bear the consequences.
Mm.
So that's number one. Then these are the 6 ways. Let's say it like that. These are the 6 ways how you can give your word. And you can always say, I do not. I do not follow. I will not fulfill. That's just fine. But there is also, as we all are human beings, I give my word and I tell you I will do this. And then afterwards, a week later, I discover, wow, I'm not able to do that. I cannot. So what I do to be a person of integrity and stay in integrity is the moment I discover I cannot keep my word, I communicate that I will not keep my word and by when I will keep my word. Or if I cannot keep my word at all, that I will not keep my word at all. And clean up the mess. That means if I, cannot make it to our call today, I'd let you know as soon as I know that I will not make it to our call. And then I say, well, this is the situation. I will not make it. Can we make a new appointment? And what can I do to, make that complete for you and me, that I did not keep my word?
Yeah, I can
Most
already.
people will,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
most people will probably say, oh, it's fine. Thanks for telling me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can sense something in me relaxing with that. Again, I think it comes to clarity, or this, okay,
Yeah.
being able to relax in that space then. And so I'm curious, how does that change your life, or how did that change your life? How does that show up in your life? I mean, not so much with the examples, but the results that you noticed, maybe when you first
Well, number
discovered this
one,
model, or nowadays. Yeah.
well, number one is, and I share that story with you, and then I say more to your question. When this model was presented, the next day there was a sharing between all the participants in that course, and I shared with the audience. Well, I looked at the model, and what I discovered is I will never be a person of integrity. If you look at the model and you really look at it and you You go into it deeply. For me it was, I will never be a person of integrity. And the leader of the conversation at that time was Werner Erhard. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, integrity is a mountain with no top. You better learn to love to climb.
Wow.
And keeping my word, let's say it like that, keeping my word or honoring my word, which means I will not keep my word and I clean up the mess that I will not keep my word. It's called honoring my word. So keeping my word and honoring my word freed up so much energy for me. It was like lifting 2 bags of concrete off my shoulders, because I did not need to worry about anything anymore. I give my word and I keep my word. And if I cannot keep my word, the moment I discover that, I speak to the other person and say, this is so, or to the group, or whatever I did. And that gives so much energy, so much power, that I can do so many more things that it's like, whoa, what's happening in my life right now?
Oh.
And I experimented with keeping speed limits. It was such a relaxation because I did not pay attention to police cars anymore. I paid attention to speed limit signs, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's way easier than, looking ahead on, oh, it's at a police car, and, braking and speeding up again. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Mm. Wow. That really lands in me. This integrity is a mountain with no top, and so you better learn to love climbing, to climb. And I could
Yes.
also notice how that really seems to touch you to today. This
Yeah.
because it takes away this potential or this fantasy of getting there, and at the same time I get a sense it's also taking away the basis for beating myself up about. Yeah, it's one thing to commit. There's something about commitment. I think that's where we're getting to. So the integrity that you're describing really requires a commitment to climbing the mountain, and a commitment to integrity.
Yeah. In the language that I'm using, I asked, what is commitment?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what commitment is.
Mm.
What it boils down to is action.
Mm.
Commitment is action. No action, no commitment. And not acting is an action too, just by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Mm. Yeah, there's something about this. It shows in an action, obviously. If the action doesn't show it, or the inaction, then the commitment is a concept. It's an idea. It's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get that also with the integrity. It's the words are sort of that what comes out and how it manifests, but there needs to be happening something inside first. What is that needs to happen inside? What are the skills that someone needs to be able to actually climb that mountain and to love climbing? What is the inner mechanics necessary, or the inner software, or whatever it is? What is necessary for that?
Let me look for a second.
Hmm.
I would say that you want to have a life that is bigger than yourself. That's beyond the I, me, mine that we're so well trained to live in. You know, if I'm happy with who I am, I'm happy with the way I show up for life, you know, great. There's no need for me to look at things, or there's no need for discovering, oh, is there anything else? Is there anything bigger? Is there anything that waits for me to be done that I haven't looked at? And the other thing that shows up, it's like there is a space for yes.
There is a space for yes.
Yeah, yes to life.
Mm.
You know, there are so many stories in my life where I just said yes to an opportunity that showed up and that shifted my life dramatically. And that happened many, many times in my life, where I just said, okay, yes, let's do that. Let's go there. Let's hear. Let's look. What is it? You know, I'm living on Indian reservation now, just for 2 weeks, but it's kind of, what? How did that happen? And it only happens because I said yes to life, because I said yes to opportunities that showed up without knowing what that yes really means. And with being clear that when I say yes, that there's no space for no anymore. Until I get to a place where, okay, it's over. And then the space is complete. That's another very important part, to complete things.
Yes, get that. To complete things.
To bring them to an end, or to, well, there's a whole long concept to complete. So let's keep it like complete things. And when I'm completing things, and there's space for something new to happen, for something new to show up, for something new to ask me to participate, or to be part of, or to put my energy into. And as long as things are dangling around half incomplete, it all, you know, drains my energy, hangs on my shoulders, is another bag of concrete on my shoulders, incomplete things. And when they're complete, I can throw the bag off, and then I'm free.
You're free
And
to
that's
go
what I'm
to
interested
go and live in an Indian reserve
in. Yeah,
for a while. Yeah.
yeah. Participate in what's going on. Do I know what's going on? No. Do I want to know? Yes. Do I want to have the experience of living here? Yes. So
So integrity then becomes like a, what is it? How would you say it's like a spice for life, or for, it's an enabler. It's like a real enabling thing, quality, action.
It boils down to the same sentence. Without integrity, nothing works.
Nothing works without integrity.
Yeah. If something doesn't work, let me start looking. Where do I behave out of integrity? And that's another very essential part. Integrity is about me. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
If I care about your integrity, I behave out of integrity. Because it's not my business.
Yes, and that, because that is,
makes it,
again, that brings it to the shadow side. Yeah, I can so easily go, but you said you would do that and you're not in integrity. And then then we're straight in the PM language, in the low drama game of blaming and persecuting. And it's not in integrity. I get that.
No.
So it's all about me, and my integrity is about me, and your integrity is about you. And so how do people,
my workability.
Yeah, and your workability. So how does that work in a group of people, or even amongst two people? I have a sense of it. Can you say something to that?
Yes, I wanted to answer one of your questions that I didn't answer. And that is, when I got exposed to the model, what happened for me was, there's word number 5. I do what I stand for. And then I was sitting there and I'm like, but I don't even know what I stand for. How many people know what they're really standing for, what they take as stand for? And without that, there's no integrity. Without that, my life can't work. So with a group of people, like a couple or two people or an organization, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Each person has his or her or its own integrity, and there is a group integrity. We as a group take a stand for. We as a group say, we as a group know, and we say yes or no to it. If we say no, then we communicate no. But that's all what's needed.
And that frees up, I get it, that frees up energy in the group. And because again, there's no we, again, it's even in a group, it's every single person's integrity. So if everybody is committed to the same group purpose, then everybody can hold that with integrity for themselves.
Yes. And you can design the organization for a particular purpose.
Yeah.
That's the extent, when I will send you a link to the paper where this model is documented. There are 3 different papers, and I sent you the middle version of about 44 pages, a link to that paper, and then you can read it in detail. And you will find a lot more information, for example, about the veils of integrity, which is very interesting. How we cheat ourselves about being in and out of integrity. And we're good at that.
Yeah.
Human beings are so good at that. Yeah, and we can, and as I can laugh about that. That's just, I'm a human being. I'm not flawless. I make mistakes, whatever mistake means. I do things that don't work. And there's a lot more about that. And fine.
Yeah, and I love that. It's really I get this also, how you describe integrity. It's you're becoming a researcher, really. You're becoming a mountaineer researcher or something like that, where you're climbing the mountain and then you find out stuff, and then you can look at that stuff, and then you dig, in a way you're going into the mountain and at the same time climbing the mountain. It's
Yeah. I had just recently a conversation with someone that I worked with, and we were both exposed to this model of integrity. And he explained what he was doing, and this is to, to restore my integrity, and I couldn't get it.
Mhm.
I'm like, what the fuck? You're playing low drama. I don't get it. And he couldn't get what I was saying. And then what we finally found out is like integrity is like a physical law, like gravity.
Mhm.
It's like it's related to workability. Without integrity, nothing works. So that's a physical law. It's like a physical law. Gravity, in the moment you drop something that has a weight higher than uh, the weight of air, it drops to the floor. That's a physical law. And integrity is subjective reality. What does that mean?
Mhm.
It's your view on integrity. It's your personal view. Nobody else needs to see why this is part of your integrity because it's so personal. It's subjective. It's yours. Do I need to understand why you do this for being a person of integrity? No, because I cannot. I'm not you. I'm me. For
Mhm.
me, it's just crazy. I don't get that. And I'm in integrity with the relationship between those two people, which means I still love the person. I have no complaints about the person. There is nothing else in the way. There's just two different views on one subject, and that's it. And that frees up space.
Something that a question that comes up there for me is how does it sit in the integrity model that you described to it's so easy to speak to someone about a third person instead of going straight to that same person, to that person that you might have an issue with something doesn't sit well with me. Called it gossiping. Yeah. So I talk to someone
Yeah.
to vent or something about not being happy about that other person. So in my understanding of the integrity or also the low drama, whichever way you want to look at it, is or radical responsibilities to go to that person that I have the issue with instead of spreading energy and low drama stuff with a third person.
Mhm.
How's that? What is that? Is that I guess it relates back to what I do, what I stand for. If I and as I stand for, not sure. As I stand for love, for example, then that means, that means to care for the person I have an issue with enough to bring the issue to them directly rather than
Yeah.
doing something different.
For example, or that it doesn't make a difference to talk to somebody else about the issue you have with me, but it makes a difference if you talk about the issue that you have with me.
Mm.
So that's word number 2. I do what I know.
Yes, I do what I
What I know.
what I know. Yeah. So the knowing bit is the knowing bit just the intellectual body, just the mental body, or is that more than just the mind knowing?
I haven't looked at the distinctions from the perspective of the 5 bodies.
Mhm. Yeah, and
I did not.
yeah, it's not just I'm imagining it's not just what I know here. It's also I might know it in other parts of me. And then yeah.
The so-called gut feeling.
Yeah, the gut feeling, the inner knowing, this intuition.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. You know exactly what's the right thing to do and you don't do
mm,
it
yeah, I get that.
because you're afraid of whatever. You know, that's one of the things that occurs for me irregularly.
Mhm.
that I know what's the right thing to do, and I do it anyway.
Yeah.
Or I know what's the right thing to do, and I do different anyway,
Mhm. Yeah.
because I'm afraid of doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm bigger than my fear in that case.
Mhm.
And the fear is just another story that I'm coming up with. But we're going away from integrity here right now. It's another
Well,
interesting
it's another
conversation.
interesting conversation. I mean, yeah, there's many doorways to go to.
Yeah.
Is there something else that you wanted to speak about? Was there a loose end for you somewhere?
No.
Okay,
I
then.
think let me look for a second. It was too fast that I said no. I didn't really look. So let me look. Looking for me means like um, people think that it's thinking, but no, I'm looking. I'm looking at the conversation, and I'm like, okay, wait. I told you about the waves, and I sent you the paper. That's complete there because that's an important part. I talked about the 6 words. I gave you workability, morality, all that.
I have one more thing.
Good.
That,
Yes.
that is that because I heard you say that many people don't know what they stand for.
Hmm.
So how do you? I mean, I've got my own experience with it. I want to know from you. How do you find out what you stand for? How does someone find out what they stand for?
So number one, what I look at mostly is what I'm doing. Because that speaks very loudly what I stand for. I have dreams and illusions and visions and all these uh, positive thinking things, but what do I really do? What do I really do? And that gives me an idea what I take a stand for, what I stand for. That's number one. Number two is, to really look. What's my life about? How do I relate to different people? What is it that I'm jealous about? What is it that I'm angry about? All these things give me insights in what's really important for me. And I notice, when I can trust people's words, that this is an issue for me. So, which means, my word is very important to me. In other words, integrity is really important to me. Friendship is really important to me. Discovery conversations are really important to me. I love these kind of conversations. I love to see you really brighten up. Like, I can always almost, it's exaggerated, but it looks like I can see how things land in you. It's like these moments, and I can't imagine how important that is for me. I have, people try to change other people. I don't care about that anymore. I cannot. If I can't change anything at all, if there is a little bit of possibility for change, then it's about me. The rest, no chance. Can I be a living example for others? Can I speak about my experiences? Yes. Do I have an expectation that they do what I say? No. No. If you do anything with what you heard in the last 54 minutes, then you do. If you don't, then you don't. I still have a really high appreciation for who you are, for the invitation, for what I see, what you're doing out there in New Zealand. You know, that's like, well, and just saying this, I pay attention to my words just to let you know that. I'm not praising anybody. I speak about what I see and what it does for me. It's not praise for you. So I'm not, I just recently listened to a YouTube video that somebody was publishing about a conversation we had, and it's labeled Lee Kumar, not a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. No,
You're not a nice guy.
no. But I can say what I see, and I can say that with all my powers, because I don't need to cheat anybody, not even myself anymore. And
I feel glad you're not a nice guy, Lee Kumar. Thank you for not being a nice guy. And yeah.
I will not.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you for bringing all this here to me first and from me to others. It's been a real gift. And I appreciate you're taking a stand for integrity and all the rest that you bring.
Thank you.
I'll stop the recording here.